Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 787A, and today's date is October 9th, 2015, and the title of this episode is Economists Finally Admit the Economy is Collapsing, and it might be right around the corner. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'll be uploading an interview with Alistair McLeod. If you are on the X22Report.com email alert system, you'll get an email. If you signed up to the YouTube channel X22 Report Spotlight, YouTube should send you an email. If not, just come right over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight, and you can see the video there. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right, you'll see the video on the right-hand side. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the U.S. government central bankers, they're pulling out all the stops here. They are pushing the idea that this economy is absolutely fine. The stock market is okay. We got through the rough patch right now. Everything is moving forward. And they are doing whatever they can right now to convince the public that everything is A-okay. And when we look at our economic indicators and we look at all the information, we see a lot of discrepancies. We see things that really don't make sense. And we've been discussing all of these things that don't make sense. And a lot of it is flashing red lights at us, letting us know that the economy is not headed in the right direction. And we've seen 6 out of 6 regional feds come up and say, yes, things are not looking good. We looked at retail. We looked at unemployment. We looked at home sales. And all of it is pointing to an economy that is in a major, major decline right now. And we're starting to see that wholesale inventories, they rose by 0.1% month on month. And this was more than they expected in 7 months. And while this was happening, where inventories were building up, sales dropped by 1% month on month. Now, this just sent the inventory to sales ratio to a 1.31 new cycle high. And this is flashing once again signs of a recession/depression. Now, with inventories up by 4.2% year on year and sales are down by 4.5% year on year, basically what we're seeing is the sales aren't going to buy up the supplies that are in inventory, and they're going to continually build up. And this is a major problem. Now, we know manufacturing is down. We know sales are down in stores. And we see the Baltic Dry Index, which is the raw material that they use in factories, is also down. And it's down to 809 points. Now, what's very interesting about this, I went back to last year at this time, and we had an average about 1,100 points or so during this time. I went to the year previous to this, and it was around 1,400 points at this time. And this is continually falling. But what we see here is a complete decline of our economy. Now, a lot of people are looking at it. They're saying, no, everything looks fine to me. Everything seems great. Until you look closer and closer at what's really happening. I've been driving around and I see a lot of strip malls that are completely empty. I see a lot of malls that have missing stores. And what we're seeing here is people think that the economy is doing better because gas prices are coming down. The stock market is holding steady at this point. Yes, we see the fluctuations, but in their minds, they're not seeing anything. Of course, those people who are getting laid off, the tens of thousands in the last couple of weeks, they're seeing a completely different picture, especially the 750,000 going back to last year. But we see something very interesting buried in the Fed minutes. And they downgraded the U.S. economy once again. And they're looking at this and they're puzzled by what's happening because they thought if they created all these bubbles, everything would just work out. People would just take the money from their pockets and spend it. And they're seeing that, the the entire growth of the economy is based on population and productivity. Well, they're bringing in more and more illegals to help boost the population problem, to bring in more people, and they're getting working papers as soon as they enter the country because they believe that if they do this, this will prop up the economy. But they're not seeing the productivity portion of it. And they're scratching their heads saying that part dropped off and they don't understand why. Well, we shipped all the real good jobs, especially the manufacturing, overseas. Right now, we are made up of bartenders, waiters, low-paying jobs, or paper pushers. There's nothing being produced here in the United States. Yes, there's small pockets here and there, but not like we were in the 50s and in the 60s. Not at all. Far from it. And they're saying that normally productivity is supposed to increase by 2.2%. But last year, it only increased by 0.7%, and this is declining every year. So do we really believe the central bank really doesn't know what's happening? Of course they do. But they put out this propaganda in their minutes to make everyone think like, wow, why is this not happening? What's going on here? They knew exactly back in 2008 when the entire economy was going to crash. They knew everything was not contained. They lie. This is what they do. And they're using these tactics to confuse everyone. Oh, the population growth is there, but we don't have productivity. No, they know exactly what's going on, but they don't want to come out and say it. Because, of course, then people will be like, wait, what are you saying here? We shipped all our jobs off and we're doomed? That's exactly what is happening at this point. We see economists in Citibank, the Biz, the UN. They're saying that we have a major problem. The warnings are now getting louder. Governments and central banks risk tipping the world into a fresh financial crisis. The International Monetary Fund has warned, and it's saying that the corporate debt binge in the developing world is out of control. The emerging market companies have overborrowed around $3 trillion in the last decade. And this is going to cause a problem. So they're already setting up the scapegoats. They're already saying, it's because of the emerging markets. And right now, we're seeing Citigroup out there saying that the economy right now, their performance of the economy, is falling apart. And there are chances that in 2016, we might see a global recession. No, we're going to see a major collapse. Whenever they say recession, take it a little bit further because they really don't want you to know what's really going to happen here. They're trying to keep everyone happy, like, oh, we might be a little bit in a recession and everything will be fine. Well, in 2008, everything wasn't fine. And without the creation of all that currency, the entire system would have collapsed. All we did, well, I should say all they did, was kick the can down the street. So right now, the economists finally admit the odds of a U.S. recession are on the rise. So they're already laying the groundwork to let you know something bad might be happening very soon. Of course, the U.S. government is out there saying, we're in a recovery. Everything looks really good. Now, when we look around the world, in Europe, we see things really starting to fall apart. German exports fall by 5.2%, the largest slump since 2009. German imports fall by 3.1%. Many sectors across German economy see unexpected declines in factory orders and in industrial production. UK chief financial officers report sharp rise in uncertainty. UK PMI has fallen to lowest level since April of 2013. In the UK, there are also signs of sudden economic slowdown. So we're seeing this all over the place. And we understand that the United States Cyprus, Canada, New Zealand, US, UK, Germany, many countries in the European nations are all set up for, yes, the next crisis. And the next crisis is going to lead to bail-ins. And this is going to take a lot of people by surprise. The most important thing to remember about all of this is how lies and propaganda were spread for months leading up to the collapse in Cyprus or in Greece. They lied that everything was fine. They were showing that there's incredible improvement. And then what happened? They woke up one day, the banks were shut down, the bank accounts were frozen, and everyone was like scratching their head. They just told us everything was fine, and now all of a sudden we're in a collapse situation. And this is what we're seeing right now. If you notice, they're telling us that everything is absolutely fine. Look at the stock market, we're bringing it back up. Look at the unemployment numbers, they're at 5.1%. I wouldn't be surprised if they go down to 4.9% the next go around, to really push it home that we are in a recovery and the economy is picking up once again. And I see it all over the corporate media, and we hear it from the government, and this should make you very, very nervous at this point. Now, the International Monetary Fund, they understand, and most of the central bankers understand, that we are at a point now where they need to bring in more revenue to get rid of some of this debt. And they don't like writing off debt because, they lose profits. So where do they get the funds to pay off this debt? Well, it's from the people, of course. And this is why they have the bail-ins. Now, before they go to that next step, Christine Lagarde is out there saying what we need right now, we need a carbon tax. This is the right moment to introduce a carbon tax. Well, I thought carbon tax was for global warming, to help with this fictitious global warming scheme they have going on here. But Christine Lagarde took it to the next level. She was at a conference and she said that we need to introduce a carbon tax to bring in revenue. She said if we chicken out on the climate change, we will all turn to chicken, we will be fried, grilled, and roasted. What this means is they want to tax everyone around the world to pay off this huge debt bubble. And they're using global warming as the scheme, as the lie. And if we don't do it, this whole entire thing collapses. And we're seeing that only 4 nations, Ireland, Sweden, Chile, Finland, currently place a direct tax on carbon dioxide. And we see Australia, the largest economy to ever have a carbon tax, repealed it in 2014 after a landslide electoral victory by the country's Conservative Party saying, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. So there is the truth. They want the carbon tax not to help the environment, to pay down and to prop up the system. Basically what they're doing, they need more money from the people. And if they lie to us about everything else, do you really think global warming is the truth? No. They're doing it to bail themselves out by taking your money. This is what they are trying to do. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.